Hello everybody and welcome to my channel. My name is David, this is David K Reacts, and here I ramble, with articulation at least I hope, about the variety of musical, visual and audio elements in videos that I watch. And today I'm going to be doing something a little bit different. This is the first video of Video Game Month, and I wanted to look at a really ingenious piece of video game music that has had a lasting impact throughout the years, essentially, since 1991, when this piece of music was first heard. And what I want to look at is the subject of game overs in video. And that's what I'm going to be digging into in a second. The idea of game over, of course, is something that has meant a variety of things over the years. When arcade cabinets first became a thing, it was having to put another quarter into the arcade cabinet to start an extra life. When we took consoles home, it was the end of a run, potentially, especially early on, before you were capable of saving a game. Like, you'd have to go right back to the beginning of the game and start again. You ran out of lives. You had if you don't game for any reason, you had lives. You might have 5 lives. Every time you lost in the game, you would lose a life, and if you lost all 5, that's game over. Then you started being able to save your game, and it was, okay, now I've got to go back to where I last saved, which might be quite a way. Meant a variety of different things, but there was music associated with that process that was quite extraordinary, and I want to come on to that. Before I do, welcome back to my channel. Welcome if this is your first time here. If it is, the way this usually works is that I watch through a video from beginning to end and then go back and watch it again, and this time pause and interrupt and analyze. This is going to be different. This is not a typical video. So yeah, don't see this as how my work is usually done. This is a kind of video I want to experiment with a little bit. I will say, however, please do like it, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell, and if you enjoy what you see here, if you would consider donating to support the channel, I'd be very, very appreciative, and you can do that by leaving a super thanks here on YouTube, heading to buymeacoffee.com/DavidKReacts for a one-off donation, or going to patreon.com/DavidKReacts, where you can donate $2 Canadian a month to be an ongoing member and get access to my Discord channel. So, game over music over the years. I wanted to play a couple of examples and prove the point that it's kind of, it's all over the place. We have Sonic the Hedgehog, for example. Undoubtedly, you have lost. Also a great piece of music because it uses the da 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 da, which is the Sonic theme music, but in a really sad way. Donkey Kong Country has another amazing one, in my opinion. It's quite happy. It's in style with that kind of jazzy sound that Donkey Kong Country has, and yet it finishes on that kind of slightly sad 7th chord. Very, very effective. And of course, I mean, oh, right, I forgot this is in this. So there you have dying in the game and then the game over music afterwards. Now, over the years, music has evolved a lot. Final Fantasy VII has an amazing piece of game over music that sounds like this. It's sad. There's no escaping the fact that you've lost. But then it does this. And it goes back into the preview music. That's something maybe I'll talk about in another video. But it goes somewhere with a little bit of hope to it, and that hope of restarting, which is great. There's then also one of the craziest pieces of music I've ever heard, which is You Are Dead from Total Distortion, which took the game over music to a whole new level. You are dead, dead, dead. You are dead, dead, dead. You can't take it seriously, can you? It's a great piece of music, however. But, the piece of music I actually want to look at today is one that is related to losing in a game. But it is the cause of losing in the game. And with apologies to any childhood trauma I might bring back to front, it is this. It still stings to listen to that today. That is the sound of Sonic the Hedgehog drowning, if you are not familiar with it. Here, allow me. I haven't got any graphics up for this one because there's not a lot to look at, but it looks a little something like this. This was awful to hear. It really was, because this was the indication that you had 100%, I'm not going to bother leaving that up. It doesn't do anything. It was the indication that you were about to lose. You needed air. You needed to either get to the surface of the water that you were currently under, because Sonic was running out of breath, or there were little things that drifted bubbles up. And every now and then, one of those bubbles would be big. And if you could reach that, Sonic could breathe in the bubble. Don't ask me the physics of that. He could breathe in the bubble and get enough air to stay underwater for longer. But that music was terrible because it's so frantic, and the amount it heightened the tension of that moment of, am I going to make it? The worst thing was you were standing over the bubble generator and a big bubble was not coming, or you saw it on the edge of the screen and you just knew you weren't going to make it in time. And those moments were awful. And because you had to listen to that, it's less than 15 seconds long. It's probably less than 12 seconds long. Composed by a gentleman by the name of Masato Nakamura, who must have had it out for every child of that generation, because my lord. But it is absolutely brilliant. Happy April Fools, by the way. This is not a particularly serious video by me. I was trying to figure out how to top 4 minutes and 33 seconds from last year, and I felt I should tie it in with Video Game Month, because this is falling within April, which genuinely is Video Game Month. But I am going to be talking about this quite seriously, because I wanted to do this as a joke, but I was trying to figure out how to expand the video. And listening to the music a couple of times, I realized how clever it is. And then in the process of looking for it, I found something really cool that I'm going to share with you all in a little bit. But I did want to go back and start this from the beginning and actually listen to what's happening here, because this music is really clever. So, two things going on here straight away. Three things going on here. But first two I'm going to focus on are these octaves. You have bum, 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 bum. I'm not hitting octaves there. That's quite difficult to do. But you're jumping up between the octaves and then shifting a semitone. So it's da 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 da, which is, I saw a video on this piece of music at one point in time which pointed out that Jaws also a da-dum semitone. It's become a slightly unnerving sound. But the fact that they have this bum 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 going on, it's you're bouncing all over the place. It's open octaves, which is quite a long bounce. It's fine to do one, but when you're repeating them, it starts to get tense. What you then have is underneath that, there's kind of like a wow sound that's doing bum 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 bum. It's doing the same octaves, like 3 octaves lower. However, I don't know how many it is, 2 octaves lower, whatever it is. But you've got this huge range of motion in the instruments, covering a surprising amount of space. Now, this bearing in mind, they've only got half a dozen channels for music here, so they're very limited in what they can actually do. But they have this repeated thing, and it's so simple. But because it is covering this range and moving in these semitones and moving with this octave jumping motion, it's slightly unsettling. What you then have, listen in the middle, if you can, to this kind of thing that's going on. Oh. Going on in the middle. It's a tritone. We got bum, 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 bum. It's playing tritones, and what's more, they are offset, I think. I'm not 100% sure about this, but I think they are offset against the octaves. Now, I can't usually use my piano in this space because I don't have enough space. I have, however, pulled it up for this purpose because I realized it was going to be really difficult for me to demonstrate this with just my voice. I'm hoping you can hear this. This also explains why I don't have a piano in my space, because I can't... Oop, not because I'm throwing my phone on the floor, but I can't play it facing you. It's actually behind here. This is just hiding the monstrosity of a mess that is my basement because I haven't sorted it out. But hold for 1 second, please. Here is what we are, I believe, hearing in this section. And it's that offsetness. You're hearing these rapid notes, but covering these awkward, we've got semitones, we've got tritones. It feels uncomfortable. And that's how this thing starts. Then it just picks up speed, which is even worse. Like, the last thing you need is that getting more frantic, but it does. You've also got this insistent snare drum beat going on that's very, very unforgiving. It gets even faster. And can you hear coming through... Oh, actually, before I come on to that, it then does this, which is truly awful. There is 2/3 of a second of silence. And if you're in the game, you haven't drowned yet. But you have 2/3 of a second to get air. When you hear that sound, that is sonic drowning. And you have that awful moment of knowing that if you can just hit that bubble, you're okay. But they leave a gap before it happens. It's not just... No, that's not what it does at all. There's... And that is terrible. But listen to what's happening in the second half of this and see if you can pick it out. We've got this thing coming through, right? And it's a really unsettling sound. It's high-pitched, it's fast, it's creeping in from the background, and it just snatches out of there and makes you even more stressed. And this is what I think was absolutely brilliant about this. And I'm hoping by the time this goes live, I'm going to have permission from the poster of this video to use this. It is embeddable, which usually means they don't mind you using it. But I found a rather extraordinary video while I was looking for a video that was just plainly that piece of music by somebody called Carpathia808, who breaks down old school video game soundtracks and runs them through an oscilloscope so that you can see what the audio is doing. And this is fascinating because you can see what each individual channel is producing. And it looks a little something like this. Oops. So that's the sound that's being made by just our top section. If I scroll through a little bit... Okay, that's the one I want to come back to. What's this one? There's our tritones. Right? Now you see the offsetness that makes it so unsettling. Oh, also, if you're listening to this on headphones, this sound right here in channel 3 is even worse because it moves from side to side in your headphones all the time. The whole way through this 12, 13 second piece of music, that is bouncing from side to side, which is extremely unsettling because your brain is unable to place it in the sound space that has been created, which makes you inherently unnerved by the sound that's there. So there we have the bass. So there's actually 3. I didn't realize that. I only listened to one specific section of this and then went, oh, I need to use that. There are 3 things doing the octaves because there's channel 0, channel 1, and channel 4 are all doing those octaves. And then DAC down here in the bottom right is the snare, bat, 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 that's going on here. You've got all of that building up, but the worst one, the one that was so interesting to me, is channel 2. Watch the waveform in channel 2 when it starts appearing. Now. That sound is playing the entire way through that piece of music. You don't even hear it until halfway through, but it is creeping up on you the entire time. And that is remarkable to me. What a brilliant piece of sonic design. Pun wholeheartedly intended. Watch. I'm going to play this twice, just so that you don't have to keep rewinding this video. But watch these channels as this plays through. It's fascinating looking at what happens. Now, just watch channel 2. And I bet you, now that you know it's doing that and watching that visualization, you will hear that sound creeping in so much earlier. Oh, I went back too far. No, I just didn't play it. The point where I stabbed my finger just there was the point where I personally start to hear that. Which is so much earlier. If I take this away, if I make... Oops, I didn't mean to do that. If I make this disappear, and I don't watch it, and I go back to the other basic piece of music, and I play this through, I'll point again. That was so much later. And that, I think, fascinates me because it tells you just how smart it is to have that sound in there. Because your brain is aware it's happening, but it doesn't process it because it's so quiet. It's like a really, really low bass sound that's just like a boom, boom, running in the bottom of a piece of music. It's so inaudible, you almost don't hear it, but it's there, and your brain knows it's there. It's exactly that, and that sound right there is why I think this is such an effective piece of music. Everything else around it is genius, and then you add that. And to me, that's remarkable. And in my personal opinion, they've never quite got the drowning music as right as they did back in the first 2 games. The third game was very similar. They abbreviated some stuff, and I think it was slightly less effective. But this is the music from Sonic Generations, which came out in... when did Generations come out? It doesn't say here. I want to say something like 2017 or something like that. Now, to me, that's not as effective, because you get this thing coming from the percussion that is just too busy. And then you have the peon, 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 peon kind of effect that's going on in the strings, specifically around... Dion, 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 dion. I don't know if you can hear exactly what I'm referring to. It's too busy. Having just said that the speed was creating tension, what I think amazes me about that original piece of music is exactly how tight it is. You're dealing almost exclusively in octaves. You're dealing in a couple of different sounds, and you're dealing with this tritone in the middle, and you're dealing with this ever-encroaching nightmare fuel that's coming at you from the background. And that's all it is. I feel like as they've evolved it on, there was a game recently that came out, I don't know, about 10 years ago, I think, that actually just went back and flat out used Sonic 1 all over again. And I think that was the right decision, because that piece of music is terrifying. And I think that Nakamura, when he composed this, was a genius. And it has scarred children for a long, long time. And that is what I have to say about the Sonic music. I hope that was interesting. I know there wasn't a lot of visual, but there wasn't much to look at. There was just splash screens. So I hope you'll bear with me on that front. I hope that this was interesting to you. This is a very different style of video. Yes, it was an April Fool's joke, but I genuinely think this is an extraordinary piece of music, and that analysis of it was 100% legit. So I hope that I managed to bring some form of interest to those of you who could bear to watch through listening to that piece of music that many times without finding a controller to throw through the TV screen. Remember CRT TVs? You could break them so easily. I never did, actually, but I did see it happen once. A Nintendo 64 controller went straight through a screen. Uh, anyway, that's it for this video. I hope that I brought something to you with this sort of slight bit of humor, whatever that might be. And yeah, very, very daft. But yeah, I hope this was at least mildly entertaining. Thank you very much for watching, especially if you're somehow still here. You're crazy, but fair enough. I mean that with love. I really, really appreciate it, though. Please do like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, all that. And if you'd like to donate, you can do so here on YouTube with a super thanks, or at patreon.com/DavidKReacts, or buymeacoffee.com/DavidKReacts. I will be back later this week with some more serious video game month content and traditional video styles. There will be a couple of untraditional ones coming later in the month, but we're going to start out with some of my usual fare. So I hope to see you in that one. Thank you so much. Take care of yourselves, and I will see you in the next video. And now I've got to come up with my thumbnail for this. And I had an idea right after I started filming this, and I'm going to regret this. But my April Fool's videos need a solid thumbnail. So, down goes the towel. This is going to be absolute. I'm going to stick this on the end of the video because it's just so ridiculous. Let's bring up that oscilloscope too. Somewhere in the middle where it looks really frantic. That'll do. I'm going to go for something to the effect of... Oh, no, we actually need to see that. That should do it. Bye.